Believe me, I cannot serve so near logistical risk. The present laws of practice of the primitive church is distinctly against matrimony.
And that is quite obviously the reason why the primitive church has not lasted up to the present day. And you do well to remember, dear doctor, that by persistent remaining single, a man converts himself into a very permanent public temptation. Man should be more careful, so seldom seeking to either vessel astray.
But is a man not equally attractive when married?
No married man is ever attractive except to his wife.
Enough that I've been told of each other.
That depends on the intellectual sympathies of the woman. Maturity can be depended on guidance when you trust in young women on green. I speak horticulturally, my metaphor is drawn from flowers. But what really settled it?
Perhaps she follows through the schools.
Mr. Worthing!
Mr. Worthing?
I have returned sooner than I expected. Dr. Chasuble, I hope you are well.
Dear Mr. Worthing, I trust this garden worm has never taken some terrible calamity.
My brother.
Still wrapping up terrible debts and extravagance?
Still leading his life with pleasure.
Dead!
Your brother Ernest dead?
Quite dead.
What a lesson for him. I trust he will profit by it.
Mr. Worthing, you have my sincere condolence. You have at least the consolation of knowing that you always know generous and forgiving of brothers.
Poor Ernest. He had many faults, but it is a sad blow.
Yes, very sad indeed. Were you with him at the end?
No. He died abroad. In Paris, in fact. I received a telegram to the manager of the Grand Hotel last night.
Was the cause of death mentioned?
It's a bit chilly, it seems.
As a man sows, so shall he reap.
Charity, dear Miss Prism, charity. None of us are perfect. I myself am particularly susceptible to drops. Will the interment see you?
No. He seemed to express a desire to be buried in Paris.
In Paris? I fear that hardly points to any very serious state of mind at the last. You would no doubt wish me to make some slight allusion to the tragic domestic affliction of son. My sermon on the meaning of a man in the wilderness can be adapted to almost any occasion, joyful or, as in the present case, distressing. The last time I preached it was in the cathedral as a charity sermon on behalf of the Society of Prevention of Discontent among the upper orders, so the bishop was quite astonished by some of the analogies I heard.
You mentioned christenings, I think, Dr. Chasuble. Surely you're not christened, all right? I mean, you are continually christening, aren't you?
It is, I regret to say, one of the directors of common duties in this parish. I've often spoken to the poor class on the subject, but they don't seem to know what thrift is.
But it's a big, particular infant in whom you are interested, Mr. Willingham. Brother was, I believe, unmarried.
Yes.
People who live inside of pleasure usually are.
But it is not for any child, dear doctor. No, I am particularly fond of children. In fact, I would like to be christened myself, if you have nothing better to do.
But surely, Mr. Worthing, you have been christened already.
I don't remember anything about it.
But have you any great doubts on the subject?
I certainly intend to have. However, I don't know if the whole thing would bother you in any way, or do you think I'm a little too old now?
Not at all. The sprinkling and indeed the immersion of adults is a perfectly canonical practice.
Immersion?
You have no apprehensions. The sprinkling is all that is necessary. Indeed, I think advisable. Whether it's so changeable, at what time do you wish the ceremony performed?
Oh, I might trot around about 5 if that would work.
Perfectly. I have 2 similar ceremonies to perform at that time. Case of twins that occurred on an outlying college of your own estate. Portuguese, the clever, the most hard-working man.
Oh. I don't see much fun in being christened along with other babies. It would be childish. Would 5:30 too?
Admirably. And now, dear Mr. Worthing, I will not intrude into a house of sorrow any longer. You must know that these bitter trials that we face are often lessons in disguise.
This seems to me a lesson of extremely obvious kind. Oh, but Jack, I'm so glad to see that. But what terrible clothes you've got on. Do go and change them.
My child!
What's the matter, Uncle Jack? You look as if you got a toothache. I've got such a surprise for you. Who do you think is in the living room? Your brother.
Who?
Your brother Ernest. You heard about 30 minutes ago.
What nonsense! I haven't got a brother.
Oh, don't say that. I'm rather than makes me think the past he's still your brother. He couldn't be so heartless as to disown him. I'll tell him to him. You will shake hands with him, won't you?
These are very joyful tidings.
And you know the result was lost. His son returns, and to me particularly distressing.
My mother is in the dining room? I don't know what it all means. I think it is perfectly absurd. Good heavens.
Brother John, I've come down from town to tell you that I'm incredibly sorry for my behavior, and that I intend to lead a better life in the future.
You're not going to refuse your uncle's hand, are you?
Nothing will induce me to take his hand. I think his coming down here disgraceful. He knows perfectly well why.
Oh, do be nice. There's good with everyone. Why, Ernest has just been telling me about his poor invalid friend Mr. Bunbury, whom he hopes to visit so often. There must be much good in someone who leaves the pleasures of London to sit by a better thing.
Oh. He's been talking about Bunbury, has he?
Yes, he's told me all about poor Mr. Bunbury and his terrible state of health.
Bunbury? Well, I won't try to talk to you about Bunbury or about anything else. It is enough to drive me perfectly frantic.
I admit that the faults were all on my side, Brother John. I think that his coldness to me is particularly painful. I expected a much more enthusiastic welcome, especially considering it is my first time coming here.
Uncle Jack, if you don't shake hands with Ernest, I will never forgive you.
Never forgive me?
Never, never, never.
And this is the last time I shall ever do it.
Have you ever seen so perfect a reconciliation? I think you might leave the two brothers together.
That's me who will help not. Yes, but just ask for reconciliation is over. We must not be too premature in our judgments. I feel very happy.
John, you've got to get out of this place as soon as possible. I don't allow any Bunbury in here.
I don't know if Ernest things in the room next to yours. I suppose that's all right.
What?
Mr. Ernest's luggage, sir. I put it in the room next to your own.
His luggage.
Yes, 3 portmanteaus, 2 hat boxes, a dressing case, and a large luncheon basket.
I'm afraid I can't stay for more than a week this time.
Very well. Order the dog cart at once. Mr. Earnest has been suddenly called back to town.
Yes, sir.
What a fearful lie you are, Jack! I haven't been called back to town at all!
Yes, you have.
But I haven't heard anyone call my name.
Your duty as a gentleman calls you back.
My duty as a gentleman has never interfered with my pleasure to the smallest degree.
I can quite understand that.
Well, Cicely is a darling.
And you were not to talk of Miss Carter. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes! You look perfectly ridiculous in them. Why don't you go and change? It is perfectly childish to be in deep mourning for a man who is staying in your house for a week as your guest.
You are certainly not staying with me for a week as a guest or anything else. You have got to leave. By the 4:05 train.
Well, I assumed you could leave you if you were in deep mourning. I mean, I assumed you would stay with me if I were in deep mourning. I'd be really rude if you didn't.
Will you go if I change my clothes?
Yes, if you're not too long. I've never seen anybody take so long to get dressed with such little results.
Well, at any rate, that's better than being always overdressed as you are.
If I am occasionally overdressed, I make up for it by being mentally overeducated.
Your vanity is ridiculous. Your conduct an outrage, and your presence in my garden utterly absurd. However, you've got to leave by the 4:05 train. But I hope you will have a pleasant journey back to town. This bunburying, as you call it, has not been a great success for you.
It has been very successful. I love Cecily and that is everything. But I must stay over again and make arrangements for another bumper. I bet she is.
Oh, I really came back to watch the roses. I thought you were Uncle Jack.
He's gone to order the dog cart.
Oh, is he going to take you for a nice drive?
He is sending me away.
Then have we got to part?
Oh, I'm afraid so. It is so painful parting.
It is always painful to part from people whom one has just met. The absence of old friends one can enjoy with equanimity, but when a momentary separation from one who has just been introduced is almost unbearable. So you the dog cart's outdoors, sir. It can wait a minute, 5 minutes. Yes, miss.
I am willing to defend you, Cecily, if I speak quite frankly here. You seem to me to be the visual personification of absolute perfection.
I think your fragrance is a great credit, Earnest. If you don't mind, I'll cover your marks until I die.
Do you really retire? I don't do anything to look at this man.
No. It is simply a good of records of our own thoughts and impressions and consequently made for publication. When it comes up in volume for my popular I'm happy. But pray, Ernest, don't stop. I've reached absolute perfection. You can go on now, quite ready for more. No, don't cough, Ernest. And one is going to dictate one to speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell cough.
Cecily, ever since I first laid my eyes on you, you're wonderful and incomparable. Beauty, I am dared to love you wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly.
I don't think you should tell me you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, and hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't make much sense, does it?
Cecily,
Well, God is waiting, sir.
tell her to come round next week at the same hour.
Yes. Uncle Jack will be very much annoyed if you need him to stay until next week at the same hour.
I don't care about Jack. I don't care about anybody but you. I love you, Cecily. You will marry me, won't you?
You silly boy. Of course. Why, we've been engaged for the last 3 months.
The last 3 months?
Yes. It'll be 3 months on Thursday.
But how did we become engaged?
Well, ever since Uncle Jack first confessed that he and the younger brother was very wicked and evil, it of course became the chief topic of conversation between myself and Miss Prism. And of course, one who's much talked about is always very attractive. I dare say it was foolish of me, but I fell in love with you, Earnest.
Darling. And when was the engagement actually settled?
On the 14th of February last, when after my entire ignorance of my existence, I was determined to settle with either one or another. And after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you under this dear tree. The next day, I brought this engagement ring in your name. I promise you I'd always wear it.
Did I buy this? It is very pretty, isn't it?
Oh, yes. You have wonderfully good taste, Ernest. It's excusable as given you in such a bad life. Oh, here's a box where I keep all your dear letters.
My letters? But, my dear sweet Cecily, I have never written you any letters.
You need hardly remind me of that, Ernest. And I owe to my last forced write
please read them.
Oh no, impossibly. They make you far too conceited. But the thing you wrote to me after you broke off the engagement is so beautiful and so badly spelled that even I can hardly read them without crying a little.
But was our engagement ever broken off?
Oh yes, on the 22nd of March. You can read that. Today I broke off the engagement with Earnest. I feel liberty to do so. The weather still continues charming.
But what had I done? I hadn't done anything. Why did you broke off an engagement, especially when the weather was so charming?
It hardly been a serious engagement if I hadn't broken it off at least once. Besides, I figured you would all the was out.
My dear sweet Cecily.
Oh, you romantic boy. Does your hair come naturally?
Yes. Well, with the help from a few others.
I'm glad to hear it.
Do you want to remember our engagement again, will you, Cecily?
I don't think I could now that I've actually met you. And besides, of course, it's a question of your name.
Yes, of course.
You mustn't laugh, darling, but it has always been a girlish dream of mine to know one whose name was Earnest. Something in that name seems to inspire absolute confidence. Could any poor married woman whose husband isn't called Earnest?
But my dear child, you don't mean to say you couldn't love me if I had some other name?
But what name?
I don't know, Algernon, for instance.
What like the name of Algernon?
That is absurd, Sarah. You don't like the name Algernon. It's a very respectable name. It is a rather aristocratic name. More than half the men who go into bankruptcy court are named Algernon. Do you really mean to say that you couldn't love me if my name were Algie?
I might respect you, Ernest. I might admire your character, but I feel like I'm not giving you my undivided attention.
Your rector here is certified in the ways of church.
Oh, yes. Dr. Turnbull's a most learned man. He hasn't written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows.
Well, I must meet with him on important business immediately.
Oh?
I shan't be away for more than 30 minutes.
Well, seeing as that we've been engaged for the last 3 months, and I've only met you today for the first time, I find it rather hard for you to leave me for such a long period as 13 minutes. Continue to talk.
I'll be back in no time.
What an impetuous boy he is. I like his hair so much. I must come to some art and find out. Well, Miss Fairfax called to speak with Mr. Weathering on very important business, Miss Fairfax states. Isn't Mr. Weathering in the library? Are you in the direction of the rectory at St. Catherine? Highest ladies in India. Mr. Weathering's short and quite soon. Any reason? Yes, Miss Fairfax. Surely one of the good elderly women associated with Uncle Jack and his philanthropic in London. I don't like when people are interested in philanthropic work. It's so forward of them. Miss Fairfax. Pleasure to introduce myself to you. I'm Cecily Cardew.
Cecily Cardew? What a very sweet name. Something tells me we're going to be great friends. I like you already more than I can say. My first impressions of people are never wrong.
How nice of you to like me so much after we know each other for such a comparatively short time. Please sit down.
I may call you Cecily, may I not?
With pleasure.
And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
If you wish.
Then it is all quite settled, is it not?
I hope so.
Perhaps this would be a favorable opportunity for my mentioning of who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. You've never heard of Papa, I suppose?
I don't think so.
Outside of the family circle, Papa, I'm glad to say, is entirely unknown. I think that is quite as it should be. The home seems to me to be the proper sphere for a man. And certainly once a man begins to neglect his domestic duties, he becomes painfully effeminate, does he not? And I don't like that. It makes men so very attractive. Certainly, Mama, whose views on education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. It is part of the system. So do you mind my looking at you through my glasses?
Oh no. I'm very fond of being looked at.
You are here on a visit, I suppose.
Oh. No, I live here.
Really? Your mother, no doubt, or some other female relative advanced in years resides here also?
also? Oh, no, I have no brother, or in fact, any relations.
Indeed.
My guardian will cover this principle the oddest task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I'm Mr. Weather's ward.
Oh, it is strange. Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a ward. How secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly. I am not sure, however, that the news inspires me with feelings of a mixed delight. I am very fond of you, Cecily. I have not drunk since I met you, but I am bound to state that now that I know that you are Mr. Worthing's ward, I cannot help expressing a wish that you were just a little bit older than you seem to be, and not quite so very alluring in appearance. And if I may speak quite candidly.
Oh, please do. I believe that when one has anything unpleasant to say, one should always be quite candid.
Well, to speak with perfect candor, Cecily, I wish that you were fully 42, and more than usually plain for your age. Ernest has a strong, upright nature. He is the very soul of truth and honesty. Disloyalty would be as impossible to him as deception. But even men of the noblest possible moral character are extremely susceptible to the physical charms of others. Modern, no less than ancient history, has provided us with many most painful examples of what I refer to. If it were not so, indeed, history would be quite unreadable.
Pardon me, Gwendolyn, did you say Ernest?
Yes?
Well, it is an earnest brother. This is brother. His other.
Ernest never mentioned to me that you had a brother.
I'm sorry to say they've not been on good terms for a long time.
Oh, that would account for it. And to think of it, I've never heard any man mention his brother. The subject seems distasteful to most men. Cecily, you have lifted a load from my mind. I was growing almost anxious. It would have been terrible if a cloud had come across a friendship like ours. Of course you are quite sure that it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing that is your guardian.
Quite sure. In fact, I'm going to his.
I beg your pardon.
I find no reason to make a secret to you, Gwendolyn. Our little county newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cecily, I think there might be some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear in the Morning Post Saturday at the latest.
Ernest proposed to me 10 minutes ago.
It is certainly very curious, for he asked me to meet his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. If you care to verify the incident, pray do so. I never travel without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read on the train. I am so very sorry, dear Cecily. But it appears that I have the prior claim.
It would distress me more than I can tell you, Gwendolyn, if it caused you any mental or physical anguish, but I feel bound to point out that since Ernest proposed to you, he's clearly changed his mind.
If the poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall make it my duty to rescue him at once, and with a firm hand.
Whichever unfortunate entanglement, my dear boy, may have got himself into, I'll never reproach him of it once we are married.
Do you allude to me, Miss Cardew, as an entanglement? You are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, it becomes more than a moral duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure.
Do you suggest that I am trapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you? This is no time for the showmaster manners. When I see a spade, I come to sleep.
I'm glad to see that I've never seen a spade. It appears that our social spheres have been widely different.
Shall I place tea here as usual? Yes, as usual.
Are there many interesting walks in the vicinity, Miss Cardew?
Oh, yes. From the top of the hill, one can quite see 5 counties.
5 counties. Not sure I should like that. I hate crowds.
I suppose this is why you live in town?
Quite anybody who is anybody does. The country always bores me to death.
This is what the newspaper agricultural profession. It is almost epidemic, I must say. May I offer you some tea?
Thank you. Detestable girl. Did I reply to?
Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen in the best households now.
And some seconds.
You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and though I most distinctly asked for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I am known for the gentleness of my disposition and the extraordinary swiftness of my nature. But I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
To save my poor, innocent, trusting boy from the magnificence of any woman, there are no lengths which I cannot go.
From the moment that I met you, I felt that you were false and deceitful. I am never deceived in such matters. My first impressions of people are invariably right.
Well, I believe I'm trespassing on your valuable time. No doubt you've many other calls to attend to of a similar character in the neighborhood.
Ernest, my own Ernest.
Gwendolyn, darling.
May I ask if you are engaged to this young lady here?
Dear little Cecily? Of course not. What could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may.
I knew there was some misunderstanding. The gentleman whose arms are centered around your waist is Mr. John Worthing.
I beg your pardon.
That's Uncle Jack.
Jack! Oh.
Here is Ernest. And may I ask if you are engaged to be married to this young lady?
Good heavens! Gwendolyn?
Yes, to good heavens, Gwendolyn. To Gwendolyn!
Of course not. What could have been such a pretty idea to do from here?
Thank you. You may.
Miss Cardew, I felt there might be some slight error. The gentleman who is now standing next to you is my cousin, Algernon Moncrief.
Algernon Moncrief? Are you really called Algernon?
I do not deny it.
Is your name really John?
I could deny it if I liked. I could deny anything if I liked. However, my name certainly is John. It has been John for years.
A gross deception has been practiced on the locals.
My poor wounded Cecily.
My sweet girl Gwendolyn.
You will call me sister, won't you?
There was just one question I'd like to ask my guardian.
A wonderful idea. Mr. Worthing, there is just one question I would like to be permitted to ask you. Where is your brother Ernest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother Ernest. So it is a matter of some importance to us where your brother Ernest is at present.
Gwendolyn, Cecily, it is very painful for me to be forced to speak the truth. It is the first time in my life that I have been reduced to such a painful position, and I am really quite inexperienced in doing anything of the kind. However, I will tell you quite frankly that I have no brother Ernest. I have no brother at all, and I certainly don't intend to have a brother in the future.
No, brother at all.
None.
Had you never a brother of any kind?
Never. Not even of any kind.
I'm afraid it is quite clear, Cecily, that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone.
It is not a particularly pleasant situation for a young lady to find herself in, is it?
Let us go into the house. They will hardly venture after us in there.
No, let us not coward on.
This ghastly state of things is what you call bunburying, I suppose?
Oh, yes. And what a wonderful Bunbury it is. In fact, it is the most wonderful Bunbury of my life.
Well, you've no right whatsoever to bunbury here.
Well, that is absurd. You can't tell one way and you can't Bunbury. Very serious Bunbury, so to speak.
Serious bunburyist? Good heavens!
But one must be serious about something to have any music in life. I happen to be serious about Bunbury. What on earth you are serious about, I can't quite make out. About everything, I suppose. You're such an absolutely trivial nature.
Well, the only small satisfaction I have in the whole of this wretched business is that your friend Bunbury is quite exploded. You won't be able to run down the country quite so often as you used to, dear Algie. And a very good thing, too.
Your brother is a little off-color, isn't he, dear? So you won't be able to disappear into town quite so frequently as your wicked custom was.
As for your conduct towards Miss Cardew, I must say that you're taking in a sweet, simple, innocent girl like that is quite inexcusable. To say nothing of the fact that she is my ward.
But I see no possible defense at all for you receiving a brilliant, clever, thoroughly experienced young lady like Miss Fairfax, to say nothing of the least that she is my cousin.
I wanted to be engaged to Gwendolyn. That's it all. I love her.
Well, I was engaged to Cicely. I adore her.
Well, there's certainly no chance of your marrying Miss Cardew.
And then I think there's much likelihood, Jake, of you and Miss Fairfax being united.
Well, that is no business of yours.
Well, if it was my business, I wouldn't talk about it. It is very vulgar to talk about one's own business. Only people like stockbrokers do that. Many a dinner party.
How can you sit there, calmly eating muffins when we're in this horrible trouble I can't make out? You seem to me to be perfectly harmless.
Well, I can't eat muffins in an agitated manner. The butcher will probably use on my cups. Muffins should be eaten quite calmly. That is how they were meant to be eaten.
Well, that is no reason why you should eat them all in that greedy way.
Passion tea. I don't like tea.
Good heavens! I suppose a man may eat his own muffins in his own garden!
But you have just said it was perfectly heartless to eat muffins.
I said it was perfectly heartless of you! Under the circumstances, that is a very different thing.
As may be. But the muffins are the same.
Archie, I wish to goodness you would go.
You can't possibly ask me to go without having dinner first. I never go anywhere without dinner. The only people who do are vegetarians and people like that. Besides, I have just made arrangements to be christened at 6:15 under the name of Earnest.
My dear fellow, the sooner you give up that nonsense, the better. I made arrangements this morning. Dr. Chasuble to be christened myself at 5:30. I naturally will take the name of Earnest when it is a wish. We can't both be christened Earnest. It's absurd. Besides, I have every right to be christened if I like. There is no evidence at all that I have ever been christened by anyone. I should think it extremely probable I never was, and so does Dr. Chasuble. It is entirely different in your case. You have been christened already.
Yes, but I haven't been christened in years.
Yes, but you have been christened. That is the important thing.
Yes, so I know my constitution can stand it. But I think if you're not quite sure of your ever having been christened, I think it's rather dangerous if you're venturing on now. You might feel very unwell. I mean, you can hardly have forgotten that someone closely connected to you died in Paris of a severe chill just very recently.
Yes, but you said yourself the severe chill wasn't hereditary.
It used to be. I dare say it is now. Science is always making wonderful improvements and things.
That is nonsense. You are always talking nonsense.
Object! You are at the muffins again! I wish that from what I told you I was particularly fond why would you allow it to be served at your house? What ideas you have of hospitality?
Algernon, I have already told you to go. I don't want you here. Why don't you go?
Well, I haven't quite finished my tea. Besides, there's still one more muffin left.
In fact, they did not follow us in here as anyone would have done. Seemed to show me this was a sense of shame about it.
They're eating muffins. That looks like repentance.
They didn't seem to notice us at all.
Couldn't you call? So I haven't informed.
What effrontery!
Approaching. So bored of them.
Let us preserve a dignified silence.
Certainly. It's the only thing left to do now.
This dignified silence seems to produce a rather unpleasant effect.
A most distasteful one.
But we will not be the first to speak.
Certainly.
Mr. Worthing, I have something very particular to ask you. Much depends on your reply.
Your common sense is infallible. Mr. Moncrief, I have a question. Why do you pretend to be my guardian's book?
In order that I may have a chance of meeting you.
That certainly seems a satisfactory explanation, does it not?
Yes, dear, if you can believe him.
I don't, but it doesn't affect the wonderful beauty of his answer.
True. In matters of great importance, style, not sincerity, is a vital thing. Mr. Worthing, what explanation can you offer me for pretending to have a brother? Was it in order that you might have the opportunity of coming into town to see me as often as possible?
Can you doubt it, Miss Fairfax?
I have the greatest doubts upon the subject. However, I can crush that. Now is not the time for German skepticism. That answer seemed quite satisfactory, especially Mr. Worthing's.
I am more than content with what Mr. Moncrief said. His voice alone inspires one with absolute credulity.
So do you think we should believe it?
Yes. I mean, no.
True, we had forgotten. There are principles at stake that one cannot surrender. But which of us should tell them? The task is not a pleasant one.
Could we not both speak at the same time?
A wonderful idea. I almost always speak at the same time as other people. Will you take the time for me?
Certainly.
Your Christian names are still an insufferable barrier. That is all.
Our Christian names? Is that all? But we are Christian.
For my sake, are you willing to do this terrible thing?
I am.
For me, are you willing to face this fearful ordeal?
I am.
How absurd to talk of equality of the sexes. When matters of self-sacrifice are concerned, men are infinitely beyond us.
They have their moments of physical power which we women know absolutely nothing.
Darling.
Darling.
Lady Bracknell.
Good heavens! What does this mean, Gwendolen?
Merely that I am engaged in Mr. Worthing.
Come here, sit. Sit down immediately. Hesitation of any kind is a sign of mental decay in leisure, in physical weakness, in the old. Apprised, sir, of my daughter's sudden flight by the trusting me, whose confidence I bought with a mere small cord. I followed her once by luggage train. But her unhappy father is under the impression that she is attending an unusually lengthy lecture at the University Extension Scheme on the influence of permanent income on thought. And I do not intend to undeceive it. Indeed, I have never undeceived Lord Bracknell on any question. I would consider it wrong. But of course, you will clearly understand that all communications between you and my daughter must cease from this moment on. Immediately. Am I firm, sir? I am engaged to be married to Gwendolyn, Lady Bracknell. You are nothing of the kind, sir. Now, as regards to Algernon. Oh, Algernon!
Yes, I'm Bester.
May I ask if this is the house in which your invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, resides?
Bunbury. No, but Bunbury doesn't live here. Bunbury has. He is young. Bunbury has died.
What? Bunbury dead? Of what cause? It does not have been extremely sudden.
Oh, but Bunbury, has Bunbury died? Bunbury was quite exploded.
Exploded? Was he the victim of some sort of revolutionary intent? I was not aware that he was involved with such social underminings and outgoings.
The doctors found out that Bunbury could not live, so Bunbury died.
Oh, well, his doctors. He seems to have some great confidence in the opinion of his physicians. And well, I am glad, however, that he finally was able to make up in his mind on some acted under proper medical advice. And well, now that we have finally gotten rid of that pesky Mr. Bunbury, may I ask, Mr. Wade, who is this young person whom my nephew Algernon is so disgustingly holding hands with?
That lady is Miss Cecily Cartwright, my ward.
Cecily and I are engaged, I guess.
I beg your pardon.
Mr. Moncrief now engaged to marry Lady Bracknell.
I do not know if there's something in the air or something peculiar is happening here, but there is an exciting and above average amount of engagement happening in this here part of Hertfordshire, well above the average stated in many analytical magazines. Now, I think it would be some preliminary inquiry on my part. Well, I don't think that'd be a place, but Mr. Worthing, is Miss Cardew, well, will she be connected with any means of transportation? Maybe a railway, perhaps? I don't know. I really desire information. I mean, until yesterday, I had no clue that there were any persons or families involved with, let's see, with Thomas.
Miss Cardew is the granddaughter of the late Mr. Thomas Cardew, 149 Belgrave Square, SW, Gervais Park, Dorking, Surrey, and the score round Fifeshire and Lee.
Oh, that sounds not unsatisfactory. I mean, by means, 3 addresses is very wrong. Even for most people, it's not I, Mr. Worthing. No, Mr. Marksby. I believe I have heard of him occasionally attending some dinner parties.
Miss Cardew's feminine solicitors are Messrs. Markby.
Interesting, yes. So, which one of it was them that attends these dinner parties?
Markby. According to you.
According to me, yes, indeed. Well, I have noticed strange errors in that publication, would you say?
I have carefully preserved the court guides of the period. They are open to your inspection, Lady Beckman. And also, you will be pleased to hear this. I have in my possession certificates of Miss Cardew's birth,
baptism, whooping cough, registration, vaccination, confirmation, and the measles, both the German and the English variety. But really, a life crowded with incident. I see, though, perhaps somewhat too exciting for a young girl, wouldn't you say? I am not myself in favor of premature experiences. Oh, Gwendolyn, the time appointed for our departure. We have not a moment to lose. As a matter for Mr. Worthing, before I head out, I don't think it would be of any importance to me to ask if Miss Scordio had any small fortunes lying about. Oh, about £130,000 in funds. That's all. Goodbye, Lady Maxwell. I'm so pleased to have seen you. Miss Worthing, £130,000? And in the funds? Oh, Miss Cardew. She seems to be quite an attractive young lady. When she's ever know that I look at her, few girls of present day have many solid qualities, but I think these will last a lifetime. Too many envy. Well, come, dear, come, sweetheart, please. Pretty child. Well, your dresses. Sadly simple, but that can be changed. And well, your hair seems as though nature had its course of it, but that can all be altered. You see, to a thoroughly experienced French maid, much can be changed in a very short instant of time. I remember one specific French maid to a Lady Lansing, after just a few pointers with this maid. Her husband could hardly recognize her. And after 6 months, nobody could recognize her. Kindly turn around, sweet child. Oh, dear, no. The profile is what I'm after. Okay, sorry, here you go. Alrighty, feminist. Yes, quite as I expected. Well, there are distinct social possibilities in your profile. You see, the two weak points in our age are one's a principle and one's a profile. What are you doing? The chin is worn a bit higher. A bit higher? There, yes, like, just like that. This is perfect. You see, the dress really depends on how the chin is worn. And we are very contexts like this.
Yes, I guess so.
Don't you think that there are distinct social possibilities in this Cardew's profile?
It certainly is the prettiest girl I've ever seen. I don't care about social possibilities.
Never speak disrespectfully of society, Anton. Only people who can't get into it do that. Do you understand? Now, you know, my dear child, that Aldrin has nothing but his death to depend upon. But I do not approve of mercenary marriages. When I married Lord Brackenbuck, I had no fortune of any kind. But I never dreamed for a moment of allowing that to stand in my way. So, I guess I must give my consent to this marriage.
Thank God for this.
Cecily, you may think these words.
Thank you, Lady Brother.
Oh, you may also address me as Aunt Augusta for the future now.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
The marriage, I think, will take place quite soon in time, yes?
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, to speak frankly, I am not one in favor of long engagements. They give people the opportunity of finding out who each other really are before they have to live together. Which is never advisable. I beg your pardon for interrupting you, Lady Bracknell, but according to her grandfather's will, I am Miss Cardew's guardian, and she cannot marry without my consent until she comes of age. That consent, I absolutely decline to give. Upon what grounds, Mr. Will? Andrew is an extremely to a young man. I mean, look, he has nothing. And I mean nothing. But he looks everything. What else do you want from him? It is very painful for me to be forced to speak the truth about your nephew, Lady Bracknell. But the fact is that I do not approve at all of his moral character. I suspect him of being more untruthful. Oh! Untruthful? No. He's not untruthful. He is owning! I fear there can be no possible doubt about the matter. This afternoon, during my temporary absence in London on an important question of romance, he obtained admission to my house, under the false pretense of being my brother. Under an assumed name, he drank, I've just been informed by my butler, an entire pint bottle of my Perrier Grapefruit, 89, a wine I was specially reserved for myself. Continuing his disgraceful deception, he succeeded in the course of the afternoon in alienating the affections of my only ward. He subsequently stated that he had devoured every single muffin. And what makes his conduct all the more heartless is that he was perfectly well aware from the first that I have no brother, that I don't have a brother, that I don't intend to have a brother, never, not even of any kind. I distinctly told him so myself yesterday afternoon. Mr. Worthing, upon further consideration, I have decided to entirely overlook my nephew's conduct to you. That is very generous of you, Lady Bracknell. However, my own decision is unalterable. I decline to give my consent. Well, come here, sweetheart, come here, please. Oh, hurry, please. How old are you, dear?
Well, I'm only 18, but I'm into 21 so.
You are perfectly right in doing so. Some select operation babies. No issue. I mean, indeed, no woman should ever be quite accurate at age. It just looks so calculating. 18, but admitting to 21 at evening parties. Well, it not be very long until you are free of your own age, free from the restraint of tutelage. So I don't think your guidance consent is, after all, the utmost importance. Pray excuse me, Lady Bracknell, for interrupting you again, but it is only fair to tell you that, according to her grandfather's will, Miss Cardew does not come legally of age until she is 35. That does not seem to me to be of any grave objection. 35 is a very attractive age. London society is full of women with very high of birth, of their own free choice. Remarry 35 for years. Lady Dumbledon is the perfect example, for instance. To my own knowledge, she has been 35 ever since she turned 40, which is quite many years ago. So I see no reason why our dear Cecily should not be allowed to marry since why would she be just as attractive at that age as she is at the present? Plus, there will be a large accumulation of property.
Archie, could you wait for me till I was 35?
Of course I could. Did you know I could?
Yes, I found some stupidly. But I don't think I could wait that long. I don't like even waiting 5 minutes for anyone. I'm not punctual myself, but I expect punctuality in others. And waiting, even to be married, is simply out of the question.
Well, then, what shall we do?
I don't know.
No, Miss, don't worry. Unless your heart here, you would just see that, oh, the sweet Miss Cardew. Well, she is expressing a little impatience. She states positively that she cannot wait until she is 35 to be married. I beg of you to reconsider your decisions. My dear Lady Bracknell, the matter is entirely in your own hands. The moment you consent to my marriage with Gwendolyn, I will most gladly allow your nephew to form an alliance with my lord. You must be well aware, Mr. William, that what you propose is out of the question. That a passionate celibacy is all that any of us can look forward to. That is not the destiny I propose to my Gwendolyn. Algernon, of course, can choose for himself. Oh, Captain, we have already 5, if not 6 trains. To is any more forced to comment on the platform.
Everything is quite ready for the Christmas.
The christening, sir, is that not so premature?
Both of these gentlemen have expressed a desire for immediate baptism.
At their age? Oh, I think it's quite grotesque and irreligious. Algernon, I forbid you to be baptized. I will not hear of such excesses, and Lord Bradford would be highly displeased if he learned that this is the way in which you are spending your time and money.
I to be understood then, that there to be no Christmas. I told this afternoon.
I don't think that, as things are now, will be of much practical value to either of us, Dr. Choswell.
I am grieved to hear such sentiments from you, Mr. Webber. They savor of the heretical views of the Anabaptist, views of which I have completely refuted in 4 of my sermons. But as your present mood seems to be not peculiarly secular, I will return to the church. In fact, I have just been informed by the pew owner that for the past hour and a half, Miss Prism has been waiting for me in the vestry.
Wait, Miss Prism. Did I hear you make mention of a Miss Prism?
Yes, baby Bracknell, I hope that is true.
Pray allow me to detain for just a moment. But this may prove to be of quite importance to Lord Bracknell and myself. Is this Miss Prism in any way tied to education?
She is the most cultivated of ladies, the very picture of respectability.
It's always in the same room. What place in your household does this Miss Prism hold?
I was celibate.
Miss Prism, Lady Bracknell, has been for the last 3 years Miss Cardew's esteemed governess and valued companion. In spite of what I hear, I must see her but have a sent for, please.
She approaches. She is there.
I saw you expected in the vestry, dear Captain. I've been waiting for you now for an hour and 3/4.
Prism! Come here, Prism! Now, Miss Prism. 28 years ago, you left Lord Bracknell's house, number 104, Upper Craftsman Street, in charge of a perambulator that contained a baby of the male sex. You never returned. A few weeks later, the alarmed investigations of the Metropolitan Police. The perambulator was discovered at midnight, standing by itself in a remote corner of Bayswater. It contained a manuscript of a 3-volume novel of more than usually revolting sentimentality. Prism, where is that baby?
Lady Bracknell, I am ashamed. I do not know. I only wish I did. The plain facts of the case are these. On the morning of the day you mentioned, a day that is forever branded on my memory, I prepared as usual to take the baby out in this perambulator. I had also with me a somewhat old but capacious handbag, which I had intended to place the manuscript of a work of fiction that I had written during my few unoccupied hours. In a moment of mental abstraction, which I can never forgive myself, I placed the manuscript in the perambulator and the baby in the handbag.
Well, where did you deposit the handbag?
You don't ask me, Mr. Worthy.
Miss Prism, this is a matter of no small importance to me. I insist on knowing you deposited the handbag that contained that infant.
I left it in one of the large railway stations in London.
What railway station?
The Victoria, is right in line.
I must retire to my room for a moment. Gwendolyn, wait here for me.
I will wait for you all my life, if you are not too long.
What do you think this means?
No, I dare not even suspect Dr. Johnson. I was only telling that in the practice of high positions, strange coincidences do not occur. They are hardly considered a thing.
Regarding as a very emotional nature.
Yes, this noise was extremely unpleasant. It sounds as if he was having an argument. I was not bothered very fine. Maybe I'll look always over, often curiosing.
It stopped.
I wish you would arrive at the same conclusion.
The suspense is terrible, and you hope it lasts.
Is this your handbag, Miss Prism? Examine it carefully before you speak. The happiness of more than one life depends on your answer.
It appears to be mine. Yes, here is where it was run over by the upset of the Gower Street omnibus in younger and happier days. And here is a stain on the lining from the explosion of a temperate beverage that occurred in Leamington. And here are the local my initials. I had forgotten that in an extravagant mood I had had them placed there. Yes, I can undoubtedly say that this is mine. I thank you for returning it to me. It's been a great problem being without it all these years.
Miss Prism, more is restored to you than that handbag. I was the baby who placed in it.
You?
Yes, Mother!
Mr. Worthing, I am unmarried!
Unmarried? I do not deny that is a serious blow, but who is the right to cast aside as one was severed? Cannot repentance wipe out an act of folly? Why should there be one lawful man and another for women? Mother, I forgive you.
Mr. Worthing! There is some ever. There is a lady who can tell you who you really are.
Lady Bracknell, I hate to seem inquisitive, but would you kindly inform me who I am? Mr. Worthing, I am afraid to say, but the news I am about to disclose upon you may not make you the happiest. You are the son of my poor sister, Mrs. Moncrief, and consequentially, Algernon's elder brother. Algernon's elder brother? Then I have a brother after all. I always knew I had a brother. I always said I had a brother. Cicely, how could you have doubted that I had a brother? Dr. Trustful, my unfortunate brother. Miss Prism, my unfortunate brother. Gwendolyn, my unfortunate brother. Algie, you young scoundrel, you have got to treat me with more respect in the future. You have never behaved to me like a brother in all your life.
I was not till today, old boy. But I did give it my best shot with regard to practice.
My own one, but what own are you? What is your Christian name now that you've become someone else?
I had quite forgotten the matter. Your decision on the subject of my name is irrevocable, I suppose.
I never change, except in my affections.
What a noble nature you have, Gwendolyn.
Then the matter had better be cleared up at once. Onto the certain moment. When I was found in the handbag, had I been christened already? Well, every luxury that money could buy, including christening, had been lavished on you by your fond and doting parents. Then I was christened, that is settled. Now, what name was I given? Let me know the worst. Being the eldest son, you were naturally christened after your father. Yes, but what was my father's Christian name? I cannot at the present moment recall what the general Christian's name was, but I have no doubt that he had one. I mean, you have one. We all have one. He was eccentric, but only in his later years. And that was the result of the Indian climate and marriage and indigestion and other things of that kind, you see. Can't you recollect what our father's Christian name was?
I'm afraid I don't know, old boy. He died before we were even on speaking terms.
I suppose his name would appear in the army lists of the period, I suppose so. Well, the general was essentially a man of peace, except for in his domestic life. But, I have no doubt that his name would appear in any military directory. Here we go. Quick this time. The army list of the last 40 years up here. His delightful record should have been my constant study. Mallow, Maxwell, Langley. Ghastly names they all have. Markby, Mixby, Moss, Moncrief, Lieutenant 1840, Captain, Lieutenant Colonel, Colonel, General 1869. Christian names. Ernest John. I always told you, Gwendolyn, my name was Ernest, didn't I? I mean, it is Ernest. It naturally is Ernest. Oh, yes. I know that the general's name was Ernest. Well, I knew I had some reason for disliking the name.
My own Ernest.
Gwendolyn, it is a terrible thing for a man to realize that all his life he has been speaking nothing but the truth. Can you forgive me?
I can, for I feel that you're sure to change.
My own darling.
Letty!
Frederick at last!
Cicely at
My dear nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of triviality, no? On the contrary, Aunt Augusta. I've now realized for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest.
Hey guys, let me do a quick picture with all you guys together real quick.
What do you want to
Alright, Cece, sit on that block right there. And then Lily, sit on this one. Yep, guys, stand right in the center of her. Simon and... Yeah, you hang on a second. And then Miss Prism, go stand behind Cecily's shoulder. Well, we could do a silly one too. And then go stand behind your daughter. Okay.
My leg broke.
And then Delaney, go stand, and Brennan, go stand next to this Prism.
Except for